Yo, what's up, ding-dongs? 8 out of 10 YouTube gaming guru here, dropping you some hot takes from my bathroom studio.
You don't believe me? Check it. There's my laptop sitting on the toilet. There's my microphone literally in the sink. You know, there's a reason you never want to go visit the back of a restaurant, see how your food's made. Because this is how your video's made. It's literally in the bathroom, because my videos are crap. You can say it. You can't now, actually. I made the joke, so now it's not funny, because if I make the joke, it's not funny. If you make the joke, you're full of crap. You even make your videos in the bathroom. If I make the joke, you're so lame. You're stretching so far for that joke. Fuck you.
So if you've been squatting here for a while, you might be aware that one of my favorite series is Metal Gear Solid. Somewhat embarrassingly, it got me into filmmaking, which, as the story goes, I was able to transfer the familiarity of into a different type of video making. Made a couple of bad life decisions, 4 on an annual basis to be precise, and voila, here we are. Surprisingly though, for a series that inspired such get-ups as this, somehow I've never touched it in any more appropriate capacity. Today, that changes. As did my opinion on the series, which I guess is my way of formally announcing that these days I still appreciate everything the series meant to me as a goofy communist teenager, but I recognize that Metal Gear Solid, the game, is kinda shit. And whoa, hold up! That's not just because of MGS 5, but each one, while in many ways, yes, pushing the medium further, and yes, we should acknowledge that, they all still have some pretty serious issues that, if you're the type of person that sees them, you'll start to have a poopy time. Going backwards, why not? Metal Gear Solid 5 is literally unfinished. Aside from that, it poorly adapts itself to the open world. The best parts of MGS 5 are those that revert to a linear structure, and the worst are those that try to be open. How did it get it that bad? Who really knows? I proposed a possible reason based on some managerial theory a few years back, but who's really to say? Metal Gear Solid 4 might not deliver the sort of content I wanted, but it went as far as the game ever would in terms of player control before making you feel like an absolute superhero. There's a weight to this stealthy protagonist. Everything you do is intentional and carefully planned out. If you mess up, you can still take on and unload a beating if you're good enough, but you're not so powerful that you can always rely on strength. And this is great, the game is almost perfect. The balanced stealth action gameplay is tied into this deep stretching narrative mostly told through cutscenes but whose themes pervade through the actual gameplay. Metal Gear Solid 4 is a solid game, a real good AAA experience. Up until the second half where it fucks off with all that Battlefield drama, drops you a set of 3 chapters in a row that railroad you like it's the shittiest game of Monopoly, none of them give you any room to breathe, each of their gimmicks overstays its welcome, and so help me God there's a whole chapter of this stealth action war game without a single human enemy. It's just robots. Shitty hand robots. What the fuck happened? Metal Gear Solid 3. Oof, I'm sweating here. This game somehow is as perfect as it is imperfect. What I'm saying is that it's the best at being the worst. I'm saying it's really good, but in the wrong way. This is confusing and stressful. Metal Gear Solid 3 isn't a bad game, but the issue I have with it is something I'll be able to convince you of by the end of this video only, unfortunately. Metal Gear Solid 2. Oh yeah, the game where you're playing player 2 to Big Brother Snake. He's doing all the cool stuff, your dumb character is defusing bombs, which means by extension you're stuck there defusing bombs. Half the game feels like you're missing out on the real beef, and the other half is just figuring out navigation between these struts and bridges. When it gets your feet wet, damn can it pull the stealth off, but the problem is, it's not evenly distributing it. The sections that do get the royal treatment get backtracked through time and time again. It's a real pain and makes the game's world seem really shallow. And then there's Metal Gear Solid 1, the game that started it all. Every once in a while I get nostalgic and I revisit it, and every single time I'm reminded exactly why. It's the codec calls. I am being completely honest, I have more fun listening to these goofy voice actors literally phoning it in than I do with most of the game. Not to discredit the game, no way. Metal Gear Solid came at a time before, well, straight up 3-dimensional shooting. As soon as MGS 2 opened that door, stealth was permanently changed. Giving the player for the first time a deeper and wider cone of view than the enemies meant most cleverly designed stealth rooms could be deconstructed using a point-of-view camera on a pivot and a tranq pistol with perfect aim. Metal Gear Solid 1 wasn't like this. Yeah, you could use first-person mode, but you couldn't do anything in it. Your actionable area was totally encapsulated by the screen. Off-screen, you had no impact. This simple limitation is what made Metal Gear Solid stealth so perfect. Sneaking around an environment you can fully scope out is great and it makes you feel clever, but being able to preserve disalert on a second-to-second basis is a whole other thing. The series starter isn't void of its own flaws though. Christ, how many times you've heard a guy with either an Irish or a British or a Scottish accent point out that the second screen of the game is the most complex, and that no other area in the game uses the snow system as an obstacle for stealth. And it's true, Metal Gear Solid is packed with good times, but worse than just being unevenly distributed, it's top-heavy. Basically, everything you do up until you change the disc is fantastic. From that point on, though, things chug along. You start having less stealth rooms, you do uninteresting backtracking, there's some weird forced combat things. It's so bad you're not even seeing footage of it on screen right now because I don't freaking want to go back and play it. Yeah, it's definitely not that I'm lazy, and the real meat of this video isn't even about MGS1, and so I don't want to capture a ton of footage of the last half just for this one section. It's definitely not that. It's most certainly that it's so bad I refuse to play it. Yeah, huh?
When you grapefruit your man, it's going to feel as if you are giving him head and fucking him at the same time. No better feeling would he ever get than being grapefruited. So what you need to do...
Who are you? Deep throat. Are you nearby?
Cough cough segue, so what's this video freaking about? Well, see, every once in a while when I make my nostalgic pilgrimage back to that old title screen, I remember that there's actually another reason I revisit it. Metal Gear Solid came with a game mode called VR Training. Now, I've dug around and surprisingly it's hard to find concrete details on this part of the game, so I'm not really sure if I should say it's a supplementary challenge for once the game is done, because it feels like that, or if I should say that it's a training mode to help you master each system and mechanic before going into the game, because it kind of feels like that too. VR Training is kind of its own self-contained beast, and it's really cool. Rather than codec conversations instructing you on where to go and what to do, these strip the game down to its core. A small text bubble reminds you of your objective, maybe gives you a hint, the camera pans across the whole stage briefly, and bam, you're in. You know where you've got to go, and the challenge is getting there as quickly as possible. The missions are all sneaking mode style, so unlike the main game, the fail state is much more accessible. Get spotted once, and you're out. You also have no weapons, and since incapacitating enemies takes too much time, you realize that there's always going to be some clear path to the goal. Your meta objective is to uncover it through trial and error, otherwise known as reset difficulty, except hey, unlike some SpongeBob that I used to know, you fuck up, you can restart instantly, which is extremely important considering how many of these missions, once you get familiar with them, can take just seconds to slap around. The time attack mode is where the greatest potential in this game is. It's a cool little motivator. See, at the end of each mission, you get your score measured in seconds and a voice clip based on if you got first, second, or third place, or didn't rank at all. So before you even read the numbers, you know if you did the best. Looking at the screen and seeing scores for faster times tells the player that either the solution they've found to a level can be done faster, or that there's another way to do it that they haven't considered, that they're missing. It motivates the player to explore new things, more often than not techniques that the developers intend for them to learn, techniques that are required in order to rank first in the level, and hear Colonel Campbell go,
Excellent, Snake.
Example of this in the field, the route I found on Time Attack Stage 4 was good enough and took me a while to figure out, but upon finally executing it without flaw, seeing on the score screen that there was somehow a way to beat this level in 9 seconds was tantalizing. Here I am, attempt after attempt after attempt, feeling like the master of this stage, and somehow there's a way to do it faster that I missed. I didn't just want to figure it out, I needed to. I couldn't allow myself to proceed to level 5 until I had the complete solution for level 4. And what was cool about this situation was that knowing the solution I had found, I could tell right away that of the two options, doing this faster wasn't possible. There was no way, I was pulling this off as fast as I could, so that faster score meant to me that whatever the heck it was way different than what I was doing. Which was a neat hint, a neat shove in the right direction, which would teach me something else. Motivating someone to do something you want them to do, that's another way of saying nudging. And when a game pulls that off intrinsically, ooh, hot tomato, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? No? Because I sure can. Smells to me like a whole dedicated standalone VR Missions game headed our way. Yep, this one got dropped on store shoppers later, including all of the previous levels from the last game, and then some that take it to, excuse me, the next level. So sneaking mode returns, though it's the same exact missions as the last game. A variant of it is available though, Eliminate All sneaking mode. In this version, not only do you need to remain unnoticed until the goal, but you also need to kill all enemies before it opens up. It takes the same levels as last time, albeit with a few minor changes, and it makes a whole different game out of it. Every guard in the level which you've previously learned how to slip past without confronting, well, now you have to confront them. Each enemy is a sub-goal that unlocks the final one. So this mode sees you explore much more of the levels than that single best path to the goal that you've already uncovered in regular sneaking. A best path that, let's face it, was often best because, as a matter of fact, it kept you far from all of them. Like the last mode, it's a timed challenge, but it's also now a general efficiency one. As the stages progress, the levels start giving you less and less bullets. In some cases, considering it takes 3 shots to kill a man, they give you barely enough to afford any waste. Now of course, killing enemies takes time, but if you do it well and preserve ammo, each bullet you end the mission with will reduce your time once you get to the goal, shaving fractions of seconds off the clock as a reward for eliminating them presumably in the best possible way. A side effect of this is that completing a level now and seeing that you didn't get the best score means not only that the level might expect you to be able to do what you just did faster or doing something that takes less time altogether, but it might also mean that there's a better way to eliminate everyone. Maybe one enemy can be choked to save bullets equals seconds, or maybe 2 enemy patrols will intersect if you wait, meaning you can kill them both quickly at the same time. There's a lot more variables and a lot more to think about in this mode. It's super fun, but more importantly, it's around this point that you realize something a bit whack. The missions in these 2 modes, the way playing them teaches you basically all the environmental stealth systems in the context of pure sneaking and elimination. This is more fun and better at doing what it's trying to do than anything in the actual main game. Think about it. I mean, plain example, snow. In the main story, you've got this one guard in the second room of the whole game who spots your footsteps in the snow and follows them. And that's it. This concept appears never again throughout any of the rest of it. It's not expanded upon, it's not explored deeper, it's one crappy instance of a really cool system that deserved more attention. That's why I say I'm not sure if the VR missions were intended as training or not, because when it comes to some elements of the game, not only does it teach them to you, but it challenges you on them more than the actual game does. And not to totally rip off Matthewmatosis here, who's already gone into this, but it's the same for a lot of other environmental obstacles. Noise-making tiles, collapsing trap tiles, laser tripwires, none of these are used as creatively in the actual game as they are in the expansion levels. And as Matthewmatosis pointed out himself, there's only a handful of sections in the game dedicated to avoiding an alert phase, which are backtrack to and from multiple times and reuse the same game total 23 freaking guards for the whole of it. And so what you realize is that, well, at least if you're like me or Papa Double Matosis and you really enjoy the stealth gameplay, considering just how much content there is so far in the VR missions, then it's impossible not to come to see that this focused bonus crap is better than the actual game. And you still don't even know about the other modes. There's a whole mode dedicated to weapons training. The gun ones are kinda crap, partly due to the limitation of the camera being placed behind the character and at a slant, such that only things downrange from you are fully visible. So when it forces you to shoot targets off screen to the left or right, it's kinda garbage. But other weapons, which weren't really used to their full potential in the story, get crazy special treatment here. Grenades, you needed them for like one boss fight in the main thing. Here though, I'm learning crap I didn't even know they did! The grenade training levels force you to learn about the force of throws, how running affects distance. It teaches you how to use the arc of a throw to reach higher spots, how to use both of those to time throws against inaccessible moving targets, also sometimes bouncing it off walls, and finally how to cook grenades. Really cleverly, forcing you to figure it out by placing a target in a bottomless pit that a grenade can't safely lay on and eventually explode within range. No, you have to cook it just long enough so that it detonates as it's passing the target. And bada bing, solid stuff. You'd never do stuff like this in the main game, even though technically all of this behavior was at your disposal. There's an advanced mode too, which is a combination of stealth and gun training against human guards. In this mode, you're still ranked on time, but being spotted isn't a game over. Instead, you're given some sense of freedom to tackle things as you please. You can get bonuses for being stealthy and saving bullets, but really the idea is that these stages will put everything you've learned to the test. In many ways, again, they treat a lot of things better than the story does. Take C4 for instance. In the main game, its use is required to break a few weak walls, meaning when you get the few amounts of the stuff that you do, you never use it outside of this function. VR missions though, holy crap, the stuff they make you do with C4. I mean, there's a puzzle stage that taught me something I didn't know and honestly couldn't believe. I mean, did you know that you can plant C4 on guards in Metal Gear Solid 1? Was there ever a part outside of this extra mission where you'd ever do that? Absolutely not. It would never make sense. But here, it's the only way to destroy the 2 security cameras in the center of the map protecting the goal. It's funny, this level almost only works so well as a consequence of the game doing such a poor job teaching you about C4. Like, the puzzle is that C4 can be placed on dudes. Once you know that, the thing is done. That's the solution, plain and simple. The only obstacle in the way of that is like the dozen or so hours you've spent playing and not knowing that. This level only works because main MGS1 is crap. The sniper rifle, another gun that was garbo in the main game. Here we see what MGS1 can do when the levels are designed specifically for it. Each one of these is kind of like a long-distance shooting gallery. As you'd know if you've ever played this game, the sniper wobbles like a son of a bitch, but there's a medicine you can take that temporarily steadies your aim. Problem: each of the sniper missions starts you off without the pills. If you want them, you'll need to make the short trek out to pick them up. But need I remind you that this is timed? So basically there's this weird gamble to make here. Maybe it's not worth fetching the pills because of how long it takes, and instead you could just focus on shooting as quickly as possible to save time. But since preserving ammo shaves time off the clock, maybe the time spent picking up the pills will be more than paid off in the ammo it saves you by stabilizing your aim, giving you a better score at the end by translating that increased accuracy into more bullets left at the end into negative time bonuses. You have to consider things like if there's a vantage point close to the pills, or if they're in a worse sniping spot than where you began. In one instance of genius level design, they placed the pills very close to a little nook, a perfect sniping shelter. Why not go for them, right? So you fall for it, you pick up the pills, and then you begin sniping from that position, and everything's going alright until, uh-oh, there's one target left on the map, but for the life of you, you can't spot him. It turns out that the pills were a trap. There's a single target in the structure across from you who's placed in such a way that he's obstructed by the surroundings if you're trying to view him from the vantage point closest to the pills. To get him, you need to waste time getting back up, going to the starting position, and popping a squat to shoot before you can finish the level. Absolutely genius. The formless nature of the VR missions and their reset difficulty allowed for these really cool and creative challenges that go far beyond the scope of the main game. There is just so much potential in these missions. They prove that there is a better game lying inside of Metal Gear Solid 1 than Metal Gear Solid 1. Of course though, this wouldn't be a proper substitute for the main game without some really goofy out-of-the-box shit. Metal Gear Solid's main game was hardcore and mature and political, sure, but it was also goofy as hell and didn't take itself too seriously.
I don't know what happened, I just couldn't pull the trigger right away. I never had any problems in training, but when I thought about my bullets tearing through those soldiers' bodies, I hesitated.
Shooting at targets and shooting at living, breathing people are different.
Ever since I was a little girl, I always dreamed about being a soldier.
A disguise?
She had such a cute way of walking. She kind of wiggles her behind.
You were really looking.
Well, she's got a very cute behind.
Way of walking, huh?
And hey, the VR missions absolutely pull that over too. There are a couple of modes you unlock afterwards which are puzzle-based. Some are pretty dumb gimmick stages that don't really take much skill or problem solving, and it's clear they're just there for the ridiculous spectacle of bodies knocking over other bodies and crap, but some are actually really legit. Like, these are real, well-designed puzzles built to be solved using the mechanics you've spent hours and hours honing in sneaking and combat stages. They function as they should, and some really get you scratching your head, especially as not only do they require some thought to solve, but also some skill to execute. And then there's the special stages. These, I don't even fucking know what to say. This is where the real bananas get peeled. The heck is this mission description? The truth is over there? What? Oh my fucking god, what in the holy hell is that? Yeah, you know what, I'd say, fun, weird stuff, it's what you want, it's in this game, don't worry. And finally, there's the mystery mode, the one that, like, just is totally unexpected but works so well. I don't want to spoil any of it, but it's like a detective game where each level the guy is killed, but the murderer leaves some sort of hint behind, and then you've got to use like fucking logic, like knowledge you have about the external world to pick the guilty suspect out of the lineup. And I know that might sound boring as hell, but like, it really, really works. They push this concept as far as it can go. It's really impressive. Some of them had me scratching my head for a real good while, particularly the final one, which, man, a thing of beauty, that one. Still blows my mind to this day that they pulled that off. But anyways, there's some other game types in VR missions like survival and the one-man army battles and crap like that, but the mystery mode is the highlight I'll pivot on here. Hey, well, blah blah blah, some years pass, Kojima time travels to 2018, goes back, makes a game based off what he saw, robs your parents of their hard-earned cash, just in time for the holiday season of 2001. Ho ho ho, it's a game about vampires.
He survived by feeding on the blood of his family to quench his thirst. That was how he acquired a taste for blood.
So that's why they call him Vamp.
No, Vamp isn't for vampire, it's because he's bisexual.
What? So yada yada yada, game is kind of boring, really long, you feel like player 2 to a player 1 that doesn't exist, already done this, bam, you got this sick VR missions again, and holy hell, it's like, why isn't this just the main game? Or like, why aren't these levels just built into the game's world? The missions here are much cooler and more appealing than anything in the main mission. This is where the real gameplay is. I mean, Christ, look at this, this is me loading my save file from whenever the last time I played this was. I spent over 8 hours just in VR and had completed 17% of this mode. This is content, my guys. This is an overloaded baked potato of a freaking game. You smell that? That's what the Rock's really been cooking. In MGS2, they've consolidated both practice and time attack modes into a single one, meaning every play of a mission is a potential run for a high time attack score. The game also changes scores from being measured in units of time, with lower times being preferable, to having a points system that goes up as you do better. Saving time gives you points. Saving ammo gives you points. Not being spotted gives you a stealth bonus of, you guessed it, points. In this game, rather than bonuses shaving time off, they boost up your score. It's ultimately the same thing, but just presented differently. At first, especially coming directly from MGS1 VR missions, this is a bit weird. Abstract points makes it harder to understand when the game is nudging you in a certain way at first. It makes the game's subtle suggested routes a little less tangible, but eventually you get it. This move to a high scoring system from a time one is important. Not right now, but soon. This game does the same thing as the last, where a different character will congratulate you depending on your score, though it has a lot more of those sorts of moments where, like, you try a mission over and over and over again, grinding to pull off this one strategy you found, finally you nail it with no mistakes, and right away you hear the second best voice. In the case of the snake missions, it's Olga, and you get this moment of, fuck, I could have done that faster?
You know what you're doing.
In the last game, you had a timer on screen, so you could read yourself before finishing whether or not you got the best score, because score was time. But here, it's always a surprise reserved for the end. So instead of just continuing on to the next level, the minor disappointment, the fact that the current stage is immediately familiar to you, you've invested yourself in it temporarily, you're better incentivized to try again for that better score right away. I mean, otherwise, when you do eventually come back to it, you'll have to waste a bunch of time relearning it, so why not just try again now? Tie that to the design of most of the levels in the game actually having multiple possible best routes unlike the last, you've got yourself the sort of game that you'll want to progressively play more completely. Meaning, like, you'll get the high score on every level before moving on to the next. Not that it forces you to, it's just that it makes the most sense to do it in that way. Think like Angry Birds or any other level-based mobile game you've ever played. Say what you will about mobile games dragging you deep down into addiction and conditioning you to make microtransactions, but in a game that you've already paid full price for, this is exactly what you want. This is good design. You're getting your money's worth out of a thing like this. All in all, there aren't that many more levels in this game than the last, but it's the way it ingeniously expands them that makes it so replayable and trains you to get better. As you go on, you unlock new characters, each of which has their own special goofy levels about things like protecting a high-value curry from waves of hungry enemies, whatever, but otherwise each one can be seen as a harder mode than the last. In the Eliminate All version of Sneaking mode, each character has the same stages to go through. New in this game, though, is the option to non-lethally eliminate dudes, whether by knockouts or by tranquilizing. Thing is, you never start with the tranq gun, so if you want to get that oh-so-sweet non-lethal bonus at the end of a level, you first have to find it. Raiden is like the easy mode. The tranq gun always spawns right next to him, so you can pick it up right away and proceed through the stage as you normally would. When playing as Snake, however, the gun will be further away, meaning you have to be careful not to be spotted or accidentally kill anyone before finding it and picking it up. Same goes for the Pliskin stages, where the tranquilizer is even further away, often in areas under patrol by enemies. It's a neat, simple change that allows the difficulty of the elimination stages to continue to gradually ramp up across many rehashes of the same areas. It's very similar for the standard sneaking levels too. Just enough changes so that the different characters, aka difficulty modes, will require you to take additional steps to unravel an alert-free run. For example, in this level with the books, the best solution, as Snake, requires you to plant a few of them as distractions for the guards. But when playing as Raiden, an easier mode, you don't need to use any of the books at all to get in first place.
Nice work.
Aside from some levels that just hold no water at all, cough cough the grenade ones, and aside from the disappearance of some of the goofier, more experimental stages like Mystery, the VR missions in MGS2 are a great sequel to the VR missions in MGS1. I'd say more so than MGS2's story is to MGS1. But hey, that's just my opinionino. Sure, maybe the variety missions are all garbage, and maybe the shooting weapon stages are crap because some dude thought it was a good idea to use pressure sensitivity to distinguish between aiming and firing with a single button. And maybe there's a bunch of first-person modes that aren't even worth playing. I didn't even record them. Maybe all that, yeah. But hey, the core of the experience, the sneaking missions, the advanced missions, Eliminate All, those more than make up for all of it. These are where MGS2 shows the logical progression of ideas introduced in MGS1. I would say, hard to argue, better than the story. You want stealth action gameplay? Forget the story. Look no further than these, my dude. And here's your boy, finishes MGS3 thinking, hey, I can't wait to unlock these VR missions. They're gonna be so cool in this game with all the new systems it introduces, like camouflage, suppressor degradation, and freaking close quarters punch-em-arounds. So I unlock the theater mode, and I'm treated to this cool-looking playable scene select, and I'm thinking, man, okay, this is cool. This must be the same environment the extra missions are gonna be in, like some sort of weird 60s spy flick film world. Sick. So I figured there must be some extra requirement to unlock it. Looking around, and you can only imagine my disappointment to discover that Metal Gear Solid 3 didn't have any VR missions. And then MGS4, oof, it's the same sad story. And Metal Gear Solid 5, well, at this point we were so far gone that they wouldn't have made any sense anyhow. In 3 and 4, all you have is this single massive campaign. This one story that sees you travel all around the place doing stealth action combat in various environments. You've got deep infiltrations, relaxed exploration, boss fights, and even some set pieces. All of these elements related to one another in some sequence which ends with a single score for all of it. You want a stealth bonus? Oh well, this isn't a 5 to 10 second level, this is a 5 to 10 hour one. So if you want to get that bonus, you've got to commit to that pure stealth playstyle the whole time, knowing that everything you do in every section amounts to this one final score, that you can't just replay a specific part over and over again to improve it later. Knowing this kind of bothers me a lot. It drives me into very specific, often not even fun, types of play that really ruin the experience. I'm not saying the systems or mechanics or story of these games is bad. All in all, they're really good packages, top-level AAA experiences. But what I'm saying is that they could definitely be structured better. In fact, I'd say the way 3 and 4 are laid out don't do any good for the gameplay systems we've got here. They don't do it justice. There's so much possibility, but barely anything is used to its full potential because story takes the front seat. I think what happened was that after MGS2, the series started taking itself way too seriously. I wouldn't be at all surprised if it turned out that MGS3 didn't include any sort of VR or additional missions because story was the new priority and nobody could find a way to contextualize these mechanically focused missions disconnected from the real world in a game whose plot now took us back to the 1960s. MGS1 made a few references to virtual combat training for soldiers, and that's how the VR missions fit into that world. MGS2 made them canon by explicitly stating that Raiden, Rookie Player 2, actually trained for Special Forces in the VR missions from Metal Gear Solid 1, tying it neatly to the game's themes and, among a few other hot drops, making it clear that Raiden was meant less to be a character and more to be a proxy for the audience, the players of the game and its prequel. But MGS3, this James Bond-inspired jumbo cheese wagon, the fuck they gonna do? Nothing. So story took priority, no extra missions. What you have is just the main game. No extra room for creativity in self-contained levels. MGS4? Well, they could have done something, but I guess at this point they didn't care. You do have a VR mode, but it's just a glorified weapon testing arena. You know, to get used to bullet damage from different guns at different ranges and get better at killing people in the main game. You know, the thing that the game actually penalizes you for. And the Academy Award for the most backwards-ass thing goes to this! It's a bummer that the series never went back to this design that I think suited it much better. Longtime fan of the series, here's what I think MGS is. Or, here's how I think it works best. Metal Gear Solid is best when it's a game where you start from somewhere and try to get to a goal in time while dealing with multiple hazards. At the end of each of these levels, you're scored in such a way that invites replays and suggests that maybe there's an alternate route or tactic or solution that works better. The score favors speed, but preservation, or most efficient/effective use of resources, and stealth are also part of the equation, along with any other measurable indications of skill that may otherwise cost time. After all, that's what the score should be, a reflection of the skill a player must have had in order to complete a level in such a way. And yeah, sometimes more skillful play actually takes more time, so these sorts of things should be considered by the score system. As the levels go on, some new and some rehashed versions of old, it gets harder and harder to complete them with full stealth. But it's okay because nothing is set in stone. Multiple replays allow you to optimize your attempts, get better and better, figure out what the game expects of you, and meet these expectations. And that's why Peace Walker is my favorite Metal Gear Solid game. Peace Walker is as close as we'll ever get to a full MGS game in the structure of the VR missions, and it's evidence of exactly how much better everything can be as a result. As a consequence of a release on a portable console, the story had to be split up into bite-sized missions with clear objectives. Typically it's simple get from point A to point B, but do so without being spotted, without killing anyone, without overusing resources, and of course, without wasting time as you'll get a high rank at the end. Better than the long drawn-out stories, these very gamey missions get across the themes of the series much better. One of the things each Metal Gear Solid tries to do is have its players avoid killing, because war is bad. How has this been done in the past? Well, you have that final code name you get at the end, but it's so distant it doesn't even matter at the immediate moment. In MGS3, you have the Ghost River sequence where you see the souls of all the enemies you've killed so far. It's spooky, and tries to make you feel bad. Not to discredit it, it does, but this has almost nothing to do with the gameplay. You feel bad for killing characters in the game's world, but as a player, you don't feel guilty for killing NPCs getting in the way of your stealth run. You see what I'm saying? There's a disconnect. This scene, while doing a bit of both, let's be fair, ultimately is thematically shaming you more than it is mechanically. MGS4 has a similar stilted, though much less in-your-face approach. If you kill too many people in a row, your character will stop and vomit all over the floor because what you're doing, all the killing, it's disgusting. You get it? It's bad. What you're doing is bad, bozo. Peace Walker, the spin-off game you're supposed to play on the bus? Okay, get this. Story time, killing is bad and ruins your life. Bada bing. But hey, if you don't kill people, you'll get a better score in a few minutes once this mission is over. And hey, speaking of when this mission ends, that's when you'll go back to your base, which over the course of the game you'll be trying to build up and strengthen. Wouldn't it be great if instead of killing people out in the field, you knocked them out, strapped a balloon to them, and sent them off flying to be recruited into your army? That'd be pretty sick, nah? Instead of expecting players not to kill people because of a stretch goal a good few hours out of their reach and maybe one or two subtle hints that killing is bad, Peace Walker has constant incentives not to kill. Not only will it negatively impact your mission rank, but a dead enemy soldier is worth less than a living one, because 1, you've got a base to look after and you can't recruit a murder victim. And 2, other guards won't be suspicious of a body on the ground marking your handiwork if the body's not on the ground anymore. Peace Walker also mitigates context-sensitive equipment uses, preventing players from experimenting with different strategies by means of the loadout screen at the beginning of each mission that allows you to bring whatever you want in. You don't have to worry about running out because you'll be restocked by the next mission once you return to base. You can, of course, call in supply drops if you want, but just like saving ammo in the VR missions got you bonuses, doing this, abusing of your supplies, reduces your score. Another example of ludonarrative and narrative shaking hands like best fucking friends. The game sees calls for extra supplies as a sign of lack of skill in a player. But in the story, it's explained that your soldiers look up to you as their leader, so constantly getting yourself stuck and needing to call home for help, that makes them look down upon you. Contrast that against MGS 5, by the way, that doesn't even bother with this crap, but instead just tells you in a menu that if you call in a certain support, your max rank will be limited. Screw that. I could go on, but Peace Walker is the only game in the series that fully utilizes every mechanic to its full potential in a way that's contextually safe. You're not on a single big mission this time. You run a private military company, you take missions from clients all around, some more important than others. But this allows for the return of goofy but challenging gimmick missions. For instance, you can unlock a banana as a weapon, and some missions force you to use it to hold up enemies from behind who can't tell what you're holding and think it's a gun. So you've got these cool, perfect stealth hold-up missions that force you to familiarize yourself with that mechanic and are funny as hell. Then you've got your more standard affair where you're traveling around and rescuing prisoners of war, all while trying not to be seen. Next you'll be shooting down people in balloons in a sort of minigame. And then before you know it, you're fighting these massive freaking robots all geared up and ready to rumble. This game borrows the core of the VR missions. You've got these great challenges that teach and grade you on the spot, on freaking demand. But they do it instead of in a virtual sterile world of abstract geometry and pixels, in the luscious green environments of South America and the cold dark corners of secret military bases. A story is still told, and it's done so through these amazing graphic novel-style animated interactive scenes, but also seamlessly in the middle of gameplay. The game still pulls all sorts of third wall breaking tricks on you, based on the fact that it's now level-based, which is funny as hell. It lets you sneak around, it lets you go guns blazing, it lets you replay levels without worrying about how you'll affect your final score, and most importantly of all, it lets you do all of this with other players online. Not only does this just make the game more fun, but some elements of the game are restricted to use in multiplayer only and require real teamwork to accomplish. This is a big deal. Now listen, don't get me wrong, I trashed MGS 3 a bit earlier, but what I think I should clear up is that MGS 3 is the best at the format it's going for. When it comes to long-form MGS missions, MGS 3 is the one that allows for the greatest experimentation and variety, and also nudges you away just enough from dominant strats with things like suppressor health. It's great. MGS 3 does the best job at being the worst of the two types of structures MGS games have. The second, the better one, the mission-based one, the one exclusive to MGS 1 VR, MGS 2 VR, Portable Ops if you got 'em, Peace Walker, and even Ground Zeroes, that's where the kid leads the pack. Please continue not to get me wrong, Peace Walker is not perfect. It's got some gunk in its eyes, the difficulty spike on bosses is a bit steep, they're kinda bullet spongy and really force you to make some friends. But otherwise, this is the best the series gets as a video game. This is the only Metal Gear Solid outside of 5 that took a big leap, and it's the only one that landed gracefully. This little PSP game has more content in it than Big Daddy 5, and while that in and of itself is a big deal, what's a bigger deal is how much more polished it is, how much more consistent it is, how better it takes advantage of its structure. Like I said earlier, the worst parts of MGS5 are when it tries being open world. The best parts are where it goes linear, emulating that one-by-one mission structure, in, out, you're done. This, it came from Ground Zero's mission style format, which itself came from Peace Walker. So what we've got now is that the MGS5's worst parts are where it's its own, and its best parts are a shallow copy of Peace Walker. Metal Gear Solid is best when it's mission-based, and the best mission-based Metal Gear Solid is Peace Walker. And so that's why Peace Walker is the best Metal Gear Solid.
Mission complete. The folks back at Mother Base will be thrilled.
What?
Hello. Well, I sneezed so hard all my hair came off. As you can no doubt see, got a haircut. Don't look like a bum anymore. I guess that's good. I'm gonna keep this short because I'd like to get this fully edited and in the video and rendered tonight. Problem is I have a couple of things I actually want to say. First being, I realize this is a little bit scummy because what? It's the 27th of June, and I'm gonna charge all y'all on Patreon, and it's like just the end of the month, and I could have missed it, and I realize that seems really, really scummy, but that's just kind of how it turned out, and I'll probably have the video out of it today or tomorrow, so yeah, sorry about that. But I bring this up because odds are next month I might not have anything out. It's been a pretty hectic the last couple of weeks, and going into next month it'll just get a little bit worse. Speaking of which, I'm going to be in San Francisco at some point next month, so if I already know there's one person who told me to hit them up, so if anybody, I don't know, I don't have that much time, I'm there for work, but if anybody is, I don't know, around, maybe we could like, I don't know, what do you do in San Francisco, grab like an ice cream? No, it's cold there apparently. You grab like a waffle? But anyway, so that out of the way. Also, wanted to give an update while I'm here about Patreon. I have put some of the funds to good use. I got a knockoff GoPro because there's a certain video that I've been toiling around with for a while that kind of, actually two videos that the gameplay capture isn't really like on a screen and it's a little bit hard, and I thought, you know, it'd be great if I just had like a GoPro. So I got a pretty cheap one, and I did that with, I mean, I did it with my own funds, but obviously this was kind of like a factor in the decision making. I was kind of like, oh, I really shouldn't do that, that's a waste of money. But then I was like, you know what? The hobby is starting to pay for itself, so why not, you know, make an investment for something that, you know, hopefully people will think is really cool. And I think you'll think it's really cool if I pull it off. One of them, less cool than the other one, but it'd be pretty sick. So I just wanted to give a little update on that. I have it's called like an Ape Man. Oh hey, also, anybody gonna be in Madison, Wisconsin on September 2nd, Labor Day weekend this year? Because I will be attending Shrek Fest 2018. Very excited for that. Be sure to drop by if you want to meet your boy. I don't know, I'll be there, so like, if you're there also, we grab a waffle. And all that being said, I'm now going to read off the Patreon list, and it's going to be really awkward because I'm going to be reading off a paper this time because I don't have the patience to tape it to the camera because I want to get this. So I'm going to hard cut to some more entertaining footage than just me sitting here in the room, and you're going to hear the lovely people who have funded my sanity and my will to live. Not really. I'm totally okay. I would definitely be living without this. This is taking a dark, twisted turn, but basically what I'm saying is I'm in perfect health. Well, not really. I could lose some weight. God's sake. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is these are the people who have provided additional motivation to me that has really kind of making me feel really good recently about this hobby. I know a lot of people are feeling the downside of it, and sometimes you get that, but then you realize like there are people there willing to put themselves out for you. Ooh, that's not what I meant. People who are willing to give you money to do what you're doing. That sounds weird too. You know what? Let's just cut to it. Bam! Special thanks go out to Matthew Steven, Just Wally, Ari, Grant Whalen, Oh Baby Yeah, love you. This username is just gonna keep coming. Chris Broom, Austin Green, Final Blue Man, Zach Frazier, working on a video of his own, Hype, Disgruntled Mushroom, Cosmic Crown, Nathan Walker, Tito's, Hat-Wearing Gamer, Scott What Up, Draz, Samuel Kingma, and of course, the one, the only, Pikmin fan number one. I'm just assuming this is your whole identity, is just you love Pikmin, Vinjok. And all that in the trash. I'm gonna finish this video. See ya!